Fans, I think we were just cut off in the middle of the broadcast. I'm not sure, but do you see what happens when you have the equipment and you're not tech savvy? And I'll be the first one to say it. What happens when you do live and you're producing and putting sound in and doing live things and doing it unscripted and then by the time you post it, if you don't take the time, because we know that I'm back to doing what I do 365 days, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So my life has changed, a lot of things going on, a lot of people in contact with. But so we were just interrupted on show number 4 of Chaos Corner, the Big Daddy Show, aka the Big Daddy Hour. So I'm pretty sure we went off air and we're back, and it says that we're less than just coming up on a minute. So I know that the last, what were we coming up on? At least 30 minutes. We were 30 minutes deep into show number 4, part 1 now apparently, and this is show number 4, part 2. So I might as well take advantage of the new show and a new time, because this reminds me of watching Patrick Ryan the other night, who in the middle of his show, or was the last, whatever night it was, his show cut off and came back and he rebooted and had to start up. And I watched Don Tony on his show too with Mish reboot and start back up. And now even my buddy on Bagels and Bad Beats, or Bagels and Bad Takes, I get that wrong all the time, Scotty, aka Mr. Vegas, Scott Wetzel, you know I love you, brother. You've been very good to me. You've been very kind, very generous. You know I get that screwed up all the time, but I watch you on Sports Grid TV on YouTube, and a lot of times live. I do watch you. So with that being said, I've seen it happen over there too at times. So I know a lot of different things have happened with connection. So I think we're back live on the air. We were talking about Pro Wrestling Illustrated. We were talking about Dusty Rhodes, the 40th year anniversary of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and all the different things and stories that were in there. We got cut off, and I was talking about things that I was doing, back to what I was doing, and then boom, something came on the screen. Something happened here at Chaos Corner. Boom, out goes the lights. We were at least 35 minutes in. I don't think we were 40. And we covered a lot of stuff on part 1, but this is part 2. So fans, this is great. Extra content, extra hours, extra time. And I didn't do it on this one, but I'll do it now. And you got to get tired of this, right? Red Bull, getting your attention. It gives me wings. That's all I'm going to say. So we're back here live. A lot of changes. A lot of things are changing with the Guardian of Chaos. A lot of things are changing in life. A lot of things are changing for people out there. So it's not just me. We talk about the COVID pandemic. We talk about the election only a few days away. We're talking about Halloween. We're on show number 4. So things have gotten kind of crazy. A lot of different things. So what we're talking about in this episode, and we're back on part 2, is Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the top things that happened on the 40th year anniversary. And we're talking about Dusty Rhodes and how qualified he is and how great he is. And he could be the GOAT of professional wrestling in a lot of ways. He's had 9 different PWI awards. He's in the Hall of Fame for the Wrestling Observer. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum, the George Tragos Luthez Professional Hall of Fame, 9 different PWI awards. I mean, contributing writer on several different things. Brian Solomon helped write this out. So the different accolades and things that have been accomplished by the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, is unbelievable. So Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, he'll be remembered, just an all-around career as a wrestler, a booker, a mentor, and just an unbelievable person. Again, I said it on part 1, a guy that I've had a chance to interact with on more than one occasion, face-to-face, and then I can't count how many times trying to be booked with Dusty. So well recognized #1 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And here we go. Or I believe it's #1. I'm not going in particular order. Here we go with Andre the Giant. Again, looks like we're on new time here, so I'm going to run with this. The Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. And I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Show #4. Don't you dare miss it. You can't make it up. But I'm up for the challenge. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, 40 years. Andre the Giant. History will remember him for traveling the world over and giving fans a chance to see the largest wrestler of his era. Unforgettable features in Pro Wrestling Illustrated from the past. And again, I've said it before, whether it be Mike Johnson, Stu Sachs, the different folks I've been in touch with over the years, those are names I'll just throw out to begin with. I tried to get a job several times at Pro Wrestling Illustrated to be a writer. 25 years ago and as recently as this year. Yeah. Just throwing it out there. I've always sent out promos. And if I could teach anybody anything that's watching this show, anybody that's trying to be a podcaster, a referee, a wrestler, I don't give a fuck what you're trying to do in this business. You have to continue. Not a lot of people are going to knock on your door. Even at this stage of my career, I'm learning that now. Not a lot of people are going to knock on your door, so you have to constantly keep knocking, which means emails, messages, videotapes, promos. Now, that's not being a pest, being over the top, social networking, contacts, putting your face out there, always being prepared, having your gear in your car, having your article ready to hand to someone. If I can stress anything, that's #1. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and give that call back. But also, and I've learned this from the president of the Yes Network, and I learned on the curtain call with his partner, Mr. Kevin Sullivan, and that would be, again, president of the Yes Network, Mr. John J. Filippelli. Chaos. Patience. As I adjust, I'm always grabbing my head because I'm thinking. Patience. So back to Andre the Giant. The article, Wrestling's Unhappiest Man, May of 1988. It was an unbelievable article. I remember it, and I referred to in the first part of show #4 here, magazines and what they meant in the 60s and 70s into the 80s as a kid, and having the story be told and the wrestlers being larger than life and learning about wrestling all over the globe and different stories, and whether it be kayfabe or not. It brought the wrestlers and the stories and everything to life. And then when they came around and you saw them locally, there was nothing like it. In those trips to the corner, those trips downtown, those trips to the bookstore, the magazine store, the old time where you'd walk up down the sidewalk and all the magazines would be outside. There wouldn't be one magazine or two. There'd be 15 different professional wrestling magazines. We'll never have that again. Highest honor for Andre the Giant, being the first and only wrestler inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2003. An unbelievable honor, the only one inducted into the WWE in 2003. Greatest match, again, subject to debate when I talk about this stuff. January 17th, 1975, the Los Angeles Battle Royal. Let's do some research on that, some homework. Put your comments down in the bottom. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, smash that button. You know, it's all about algorithm. Hey, and if you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. I really don't give a fuck. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's okay. I'm okay with it. Of course, I'd rather have the thumbs up, the views, and leave a nice comment. But if anyone, historians, give me a little more information on that. PWI, we talked about rankings from Dusty Rhodes. PWI ratings, top 10 finishes 11 times. Top 10 tag teams in PWI 3 times. Top 10 500 finish. 1991, he was number 116. Again, like I said to Dusty, not the two greatest grapplers in the world, Dusty Rhodes and Andre the Giant, by looking at them, but the most unique individuals probably in the history of pro wrestling. Hall of Fame in the Wrestling Observer in 1996. Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame and Museum in 2002. WWE Hall of Fame, as we said, the only member in 2003. 6 awards from PWI. So Andre the Giant, without doubt, especially in the 70s, I mean, without a doubt, I said, without doubt. I know, I get it. When you're live, you're unedited, and you just keep going, and you're the only one. You're a one-man show, as Patrick Ryan says, although I'm willing to share. I'm okay with that. I'd love to have a partner, a sidekick. It's all good, man. Where's the camera? All right, so Dusty Andre, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, 40 years. I thought this was a great idea. It's something that hit me randomly because I'm so busy, as I said, in what I was talking about, how my life has changed 365, 24/7, 7 days a week. I don't know what's going to happen, but I got a lot of things going on, as we said. Talked about in the first side, Paradise 4, all the things I've done with them, great accomplishments, my family. I'm down, baby. What's going on with the North American Wrestling Alliance, the Godfather, supporting Patrick Ryan in a lot of different ways, which supports Chaos Corner. I love it. It's great. Unbelievable. He's got a lot of things going on. The North American Wrestling Alliance, we talked about Daytona Beach, the Ocean Center, and all the influential people that work for Tony. Hey, he's getting it done. I haven't talked about the podcast yet that I want to talk about. Talked about other people in the first one, but I jump all over the place. Back onto Pro Wrestling Illustrated. Bob Backlund. We talked about Dusty. We talked about Andre. I'll talk about Bob Backlund, who, thanks to Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, I had a chance to interview live at the Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling Unchained, in memory of Hercules Hernandez, who was the tag team partner of Paul Roma, the head trainer at PAPW for Power and Glory. So that was an unbelievable event that night. Unchained. You can see it on all social media platforms. Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling, in honor of Hercules Hernandez, the Memorial Tournament, Unchained. So I interviewed Bob Backlund live about his book that had come out years earlier, and he was live on Chaos Corner. It was an unbelievable first time I stepped back into the ring, so-called, as a performer. I'd been doing the commentary and the broadcasting, but to step back into the ring and have Chaos Corner live with Backlund, a WWE Hall of Famer, former champion for the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, who I grew up watching. And then as I got into the business, I was lucky enough to work with him for former ECW legend Jason fucking Knight for his group. I got to work with Bob Backlund a couple of times, who made some appearances in the Constitution State in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then to have it circulate back here now. I'm in the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and then the first class of Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, which are small, obviously, in comparison. It's like different levels of Major League Baseball, AAA level, AA level, single A level, as far it comes to Hall of Fames. But to be with Backlund, it was great. And then to be interrupted by Maxim Morozov, the Pyramids of Power, it was unbelievable, the current athletes to be involved. So I've been involved now 4 different decades. So that's great, and it's all due to Bob Backlund and Paradise Alley and what I've done before. And then the current stars like Sean and Jay Haven came out and made the save. It was a lot of fun. The Haven, Pyramids of Power, Maxim Morozov of Bob Backlund. So live Chaos Corner, but we'll get on to Backlund. History will remember Bob Backlund for his 6-year reign as the World Wrestling Federation World Champion, the second longest in company history. We know who was number 1. Another guy who I was fortunate and blessed enough to have interaction and meet face to face, and that would be Bruno Sammartino. Sammartino was unbelievable. I believe his was an 11-year reign. He was commissioner of the North American Wrestling Alliance during the Slam Jam 99 tour for the NAWA and the Godfather Tony Capone. I took over office for Bruno on that night at the Westchester County Civic Center, one of the biggest honors of my life. So again, another guy that I had connections with, that you look at these top guys, Dusty Rhodes, Andre the Giant, Bob Backlund. We briefly mentioned Bruno, who's in the top here too. And I've been fortunate and blessed to have interaction with 3 out of the 4. So again, that's why I'm so humbled and proud and been able to have the career that I have. And I still keep doing what I do at this stage of my career. So Backlund, second longest reign in history after Bruno Sammartino. Unforgettable feature in Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Bob Backlund, the savage bloodlust. Again, I refer back to Bully Ray all the time. When you're live, you get tongue twisted, you try to get it out, but who's more well-spoken than the Guardian of Chaos? I am a college-educated man. Several shows, national broadcast, TV. It's not about me. It's about Bob Backlund. the article, The Savage Bloodlust of the All-American Boy, August of 1981. It was an unbelievable article. That was the year I was in the university here in the Constitution State as a freshman in college. And I remember reading that article in my dormitory room. Unbelievable how it brings back the memories of where you were in life at that point, 1981. Highest honor, reigning the WWE title 15 years after the beginning of his first reign. So we know what that means. He held the title. 15 years later, he held it again for a second time. It's unbelievable. So that just goes to his longevity in the sport. Bob Backlund is considered now a wingnut. He went on for political office. He changed his character around. People were wondering if it was a work, if it was kayfabe, if it was real, if it was a shoot. I had a chance to talk to Bob Backlund, especially recently, as this year, 2020, right before the pandemic put everybody into lockdown. And he was the nicest, most humblest, genuine guy I ever met. Now, did he act out when the fans were around and go into gimmick? Of course. It's what kayfabe, man. We talked about this on Chaos Corner on segment 32 on the Dino Costa show. Wait, the Patrick Ryan show with Dino on international radio. Kayfabe was blown when the Iron Sheik was pulled over with Hacksaw Jim Duggan in 1985 on I-95 in New Jersey. There were bitter arch enemies involved in one of the most infamous feuds and what was going on currently in current events in the world, that had a lot to do with it. And then everybody started talking about this, exposing wrestling and change it to sports entertainment and take the F out of the WWF to WWE. I get it. It's sports entertainment, yes, that's what I do too, but it's also pro wrestling. Let's not mistake that. I always said sports entertainment, but wrestling is wrestling, and what you do in the ring is real. Let's never mistake about that. We'll have an episode about that as we're here on Chaos Corner, the Big Daddy Show, Big Daddy Hour, show number 4, part 2, because we were interrupted. And again, I know